Hello,
All right,
everybody. Welcome to Broadcast.gg Scrim Nights. My name is Ben Fuglo, and today I am joined by Ham Tornado and by Bota. Or, how do you want that pronounced?
Boda, yeah.
Bota. Okay. How are you two doing today?
feeling good, man. Pretty pumped to get back into the swing of things after kind of that like holiday break, right? Teams are ready. We're ready. Excited for Open Division.
Yep, exactly. I'm excited for Open Division. I'm excited for competitive Overwatch to start up again. There hasn't been much, but just some pickup games going on, so excited for all that.
Yeah, plus combined with Overwatch League coming up soon, it'll be pretty good. So let's take a look at these two teams. See the roster of Relapse Spirit over here, Ziftry on the Reinhardt, Stegs on the Diva, T Mueller on the Tracer. Oh, alright, so we seem to be going to the map.
Nope, I'm gonna.
Okay.
Well, we can go ahead to and continue to talk about the teams
Yeah.
because we will be casting, 5 rounds or so, and so it's really nice to, get to know these players a little bit more. Who knows? We might just see more of them in the road to Open Division.
Yeah, so we're also going to see here our Larlia on the Genji. And Solo and Dolphin, Mercy, and Zen. I mean, what do you think of this sort of team comp that they have here?
Yeah, so Relapse Spirit, they are a full 6-man team, no subs for this team today. However, they are a newly formed roster, fresh off the ladder. I'm gonna assume. So yes, as you mentioned, they have a pretty solid 2-2-2. They do prefer to run mostly the dive comp. Ziftry does identify as a Reinhardt main, but can pull out a pretty mean Winston. They definitely prefer dive comp, and the favorite map of Relapse Spirit is also Nepal. King of the Hill in general, just a favorite for many of the teams that we've seen so far during Scrim Nights. And unsurprisingly, 2CP, Hanamura specifically, is just the worst map for this. Yeah.
I mean, no one really likes 2CP. So let's take a look at the other team. We have here Zero Burst. Quite a similar lineup for for everything except the tank here. We're seeing again this Genji Tracer, the Zen Mercy, but instead we're seeing a Hog Winston as the tanks, instead of what we had earlier, the Reinhardt Diva.
Yeah, it looks like Kurt Lebert is a Roadhog specialist. It's kind of rare to see nowadays in this Winston Diva meta that we're in. But Roadhog can really do some nutty stuff here. I'm going to be paying attention to Allen's. It says he can also play a really nice Sombra, so I hope they do pull that out quite a bit. And of course, we're going to be paying attention to Atlas and Foolish's DPS play on the Genji Tracer. Those two can really tear apart the backline of the enemy team.
Yeah, one interesting thing about this tank duo here is neither of them really do that much Rhine. And I think coming up against the Rhine that Relapse Spirit can bring out, that might cause some issues with being
It will
the
definitely
Earth
matter
Shatter.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would definitely matter a lot kind of on like what we end up seeing in terms of map picks, right? So like, Temple of Anubis, our first map of today, definitely open to kind of more variable compositions. If we end up going to somewhere like King's Row, a more linear hybrid map, then the Reinhardt battle is definitely going to matter. But I think we're probably, our teams are just raring to go. They already so excited they got into lobby way before us. So we can probably just head back right into the game. You guys feeling it?
Yep, absolutely. Like you said, Ham, I'm going to be looking at some interesting compositions on Temple of Anubis here. You can run some more cheesy comps on defense. We had a Bastion setup, but it looks like they are going to go for a more standard pick with T. Mueller on that Roadhog over there. But looks like as it stands, we have Zero Burst queuing into a nice dive comp with that Winston, Mercy, Zenyatta, the Genji Tracer on the DPS, and of course that D.Va. So they're going for that dive offense.
Yeah, kind of a classic 2-2-2 dive that we see nowadays with that Zen Mercy composition. No surprises in terms of the DPS. Foolish will be on the Tracer, At Last on that Genji. And on the side of the defense, they will also be going with the Mirror dive. The only difference will be Mullert on the 76.
Yep, and
I like this, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, 76 should give them a little bit more reach, being able to shoot down from the high ground there. But like you said, a mirror composition. Should be interested to see how these teams play it out as the game does get live here.
Coming right out of the spawn will be Zero Burst. So as this is a mirror comp, a lot of this will just come down to a question of individual skill. Which DPS will match up 1v1? Who will get the better dive, the better initiation from the Winston, as Howlin immediately gets in and deleted right off the map, straight off the bat.
Yep, Howlin jumps in, but he did not have the defense matrix from his D.Va, so that first push will quickly fall from Zero Burst.
Yeah, this, a bit of a painful first attempt, but regardless, that's still some ult charge on the bank, and you know, you feel pretty good about that. You go in, you scope out the defense, see what you're up against.
Yep,
and now perhaps we have a little bit more of a cautious dive from our Zero Burst team.
Really taking their time here, Ham, trying to get set up on the right side as Winston jumps up and drops his bubble. Just a little bit of poke damage coming out from both sides as the main tanks fight under that bridge there. But Genji will dash in onto the soldier, and Zenyatta gets an early pick onto the Winston here from Corey.
That's actually quite an excellent pick. This is a very vulnerable area for the Mercy to go in and try and res, but despite that, it's actually going to be Stag picking up the kill with that big D.Va bomb onto Howlin. So the fight fairly even as it breaks down on the point here. Trades going back and forth for both of the teams. But as we see, trades always favor the offensive on the first point of assault.
Yep, and on the first point of assault, this, as you said, the spawn is very far for the defenders. With that Valkyrie from Zero Burst, they will easily win the first point here.
Yeah, and not a bad ult bank either for Zero Burst. We have both the Pulse Bomb for Foolish as well as the Genji Blade for Alast online for our attacking team, and both tanks about to come into their ultimates as well. Corey just earned the Transcendence, so a lot of tools on the attacking side. However, Relapsed Spirit will be able to answer back in kind.
When you pay attention to those Dragon Blades from both Genjis and the defensive ults, Mullert comes in with an early pick onto Allen, and Stags will follow up with a kill onto Howlin. Trades going firmly in the favor of Relapse Spirit here, but the Dragon Blade is out from At Last. He gets 2 picks for his effort. Looks like Relapse Spirit has successfully defended last here, and they will be forced to do a full reset.
Ooh, and a nice stagger onto Kurt Lebert at the very last second. So painful, just that D.Va life of running around in the cold, cruel world. But once he gets back from spawn, Zero Burst will be attempting yet another attack. Luckily, in that last offense, they only invested that single Genji Blade. Very smart from this attacking team.
Yeah, it was kind of a dry-ish push from them, but as you can see, Arlarli is still holding on to that Dragon Blade here, and Corey still has that Transcendence. Going to pay attention to that as Zero Burst pushes from the left-hand side here. Oh, big pulse bomb from Mullert onto both supports here. That should signal an early retreat, I think.
Yeah, everything coming up explodey for the Tracer on the blue team. That's going to be an absolute spanking. Zero Burst will be finding their way back to spawn. Ooh, not before a, consolation kill from At Last onto his counterpart, Arlarlia, but he can still feel good. He was, Arlarlia not just able to hold on to the Dragon Blade for the next fight, but just biting off chunks of time off of the clock. Attacking team still sitting at about 4 minutes and a half, so still plenty of time to go in, but the early losses and their pushes really hurting them so far.
Ult advantage still in favor of the defending team here with that Transcendence, and Solo quickly coming up on that Valk. Should be quite difficult to push into both support ults, but At Last doing some poke damage in the front. Meanwhile, Ziftry picks off Corey in the back, and the Dragon Blade does come out here. Solo will res Arlarlia. who lost that Dragon Blade quite early.
Yeah, Alarlia getting absolutely shut down by the Tracer there. Beautiful headshot. He's going to be rezzed up, but he's not going to be earning that ultimate back. Now, as the support battle comes down, it is glowing, healing, damage boosting all over this point right now, as the trade's still very even between both of these teams. Genji's popping off here at last, has invested his own Genji Blade into the fight, but unfortunately, the last couple of kills have been mostly blue here in the kill feed. Alan still has a res up, gonna be bringing back Howlin, but this is a lost fight as the Mercy shortly gives up his own life right afterwards, and it's just gonna be a couple of tanks meandering around here trying to get back out of dodge.
Yep, and that D.Va will get out of dodge. It looks like she's not going to get staggered this time. Kind of 1v1ing with the Genji here, and yes, she is not going to get nastily staggered like last time. But really, a lot of good kills coming out from Alarlia on the side of the defense here. Doing a lot of work with his ult and just cleaning up a lot of damage. Zero Burst not really finding the openings they need to securely close out this 2CP second point, Ham.
Yeah, always a very difficult ask for teams on second point. The best strategy is often just to attempt to try and snowball off of the first point. But as you can see, much more difficult than you might think. This is Zero Burst's third, fourth, fifth push maybe, and especially with that early loss right off the bat around the right side of the point, that's going to be yet another try for our attacking team. We keep getting picked off very early in the fight. Somebody always dies. In that last fight, we actually saw Corey go down very early on, and they still tried to push through without that Genji. So perhaps watching their backline may help Zero Burst succeed in their next push.
That is quite a difficult task, though, Ham. As you see, the Swimmer's on that Sombra now, and coupled with that Genji Tracer, it's very hard to defend their backline, as the defending team has 6 ults in their back pocket. Alarlia with the Dragon Blade gets 2 kills for his effort. Ziftree follows up with a Primal Rage, and that is another lost attack from Relapse here.
Slicing and dicing Alarlia. Let's check out this replay here from the Genji on the defensive side. Absolutely popping off. I thought this was Egypt. I didn't know they served sushi here, but Alarlia turning Zero Burst into sashimi right in that last play. And now they can still sit pretty with 3 ultimates online. The biggest one definitely going to be Swimmer's EMP, which he'll be looking to land possibly on Corey, who's nearly at a Transcendence. And this could be deadly in shutting down Zero Burst's next push. There's barely over a minute left, and there it goes. EMP out.
Yep, the EMP pops out and gets quite a few of Relapse's players in it. And as you can see, both supports falling to the backline pressure there. That's going to be a last kill here, and Zero Burst is going to have to regroup and try to take this last fight with 5 ults coming up. No self-destruct.
Going to be very difficult to open up this point without losing yet another member early on, but Zero Burst have the tools. They've been choking on these ultimates the entire game. Will this finally be the opportunity for them to unleash all of their offensive power onto the point? Stegs does have the D.Va Bomb to zone them away, and Solo will be able to undo any of those early kills with his Valkyrie.
Yep, and there comes the Transcendence out from Corey to open up the point here. Foolish with a nice pulse bomb onto Solo, and at last follows up with his Dragon Blade, getting Stegs out of mech. Allen's in Valkyrie, and Swimmer comes out with the EMP, but kills going firmly in the favor of Zero Burst here. Alarlia, however, comes out with a clutch couple of kills onto Allen and Corey, shutting down the healers of Zero Burst here.
Oh boy, what incredible hero play from Alarlia there, being the anti-mercy hero that his team needed. That single kill might just be what seals the deal for Zero Burst's attack here. It's just one Winston, now just down to one D.Va on the point, desperately trying to stay here to keep overtime ticking down, but that Primal Raging Monkey is powered by 1,000 gigawatts of anger as slowly the rest of Zero Burst stagger onto the field, but already Swimmer has earned yet another EMP, and there it goes, folks. Done and dusted. Relapse Spirit going to be holding strong in our first round of Anubis.
0-1. Switching sides.
Yeah, our Alarlia really getting some hero plays there. They had that huge Dragon Blade with about 2 minutes left in the game, and then right at the end, picking off both supports after his team was already down, letting his team stagger back onto the point. I also really enjoyed seeing Swimmer's EMPs towards the end. He got him so quick towards the end, that really shut down the offense.
Oh, absolutely. Swimmer there, not just playing the point defense, the invisible point defense that his team needed, but slowly working up, not forgetting, to hack those packs, make full use of all of his abilities. That EMP at the end landed straight onto Kuray's Zenyatta. You wipe all those shields, and basically you've already won the fight when you can take the Zen out on a 2CP map.
Oh, exactly. That EMP takes Zen down to what, a 25 health hero? Kind of hard to stay alive when you don't have any shields here. Very nice offense coming out. Let's see if the defense can hold here on first. Zero Burst going with that Moira, Orisa, Roadhog, Mercy, Tracer, and D.Va. So kind of a hybrid Deathball dive. D.Va and Tracer going to be diving while Orisa, Roadhog, and Moira kind of hold the backlines here.
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting defense that we haven't seen so far. Well, at least fairly uncommon, but I do like this. You have, those mobile heroes who can go out and run harassment. You're not relying on basically a static and reactionary defensive line, which, an Orisa and Roadhog kind of are due to their lack of mobility. On the attacking side, Relapse Spirit going to have their chance to close out our first map with a win if they can just manage to take 1 point and 1 tick. They will be running a 2-2-2 dive instead, this time with Swimmer on a Lucio and Alarlia picking up the Purple French Lady.
Yep, and that Purple French Lady will find a nice home on top of that archway here, seeing as Zero is going to set up on the point here. Relapse opting to go for the right side, take the high ground, and start poking in. Meanwhile, Alarlia just getting some shells onto the point, and Zero just holding in that small pack room with the Moira and the Roadhog, who will get a pick onto Team Mueller early on in the fight.
Yeah, Team Mueller unfortunately getting a little bit too greedy, forgetting to be wary of that big Roadhog hook, but it is no worries. The rest of the team still not willing to give up any position, though. They're on that high ground, shooting down onto the point. Neither of the teams are willing to budge, but now the dive comes in from Relapse Spirit. The tanks leading the charge onto the point here. All of Zero Burst are clustered entirely in that health pack room, avoiding the sightline of Alarlia's Widow. But that forcing their position, every bullet is going to find Pager inside that tiny room, and they're feeling the effects.
Exactly, they're kind of choking themselves off in this little health pack room, but it is somewhat working out for them as the Mercy solo is dead for Relapse here, and Stegs will fall shortly after. Looks like Zero is going to make another hold here, despite losing their D.Va early to Team Mueller's pressure. They will in fact hold with this strategy, avoiding the Widowmaker.
Kurt LeBert is making that assassin D.Va style work out beautifully. Everybody's holed up in that tiny room, but he was playing point man, searching out the weakest members of Relapse Spirit, driving by, shooting them in the face, and that's going to be, one member down for the attacking side. Allen's Coalescence also big and just helping Zero Burst siege their way out of that tiny room onto the point. However, it's try two now for Relapse Spirit as, Winston gets hooked in right away.
Yep, that's not the initiation you want to see. Both self-destructs going off at once, and both of them will find a connection. However, Pix going firmly in the favor of Relapse so far with that Primal Rage. However, Kurt LeBert is fragging out in the back, but Solo comes in with that Valkyrie. Corey still has Valk, but she did fall early on in the fight. It does look like Relapse is going to take first point here. That switch onto Soldier really helping him out.
Oh yeah, the switch for Alarlia onto that 76 absolutely blew open the point for Relapse Spirit. Zero Burst, they were absolutely not expecting or equipped to deal with that 76 on the high ground. Once he gets up there onto the upper levels, it's so difficult to shut him down without a huge dive investment from the defenders, which, since they were running those heavy tanks, they just didn't have that option and they just had to eat that damage. And now Relapse Spirit gonna have a little bit over 5 minutes now to make their way onto point B.
Yep, but that bongo will come out from Howlwin on the defense side, and that should give them some extra damage to hold off this assault. I don't think Relapse used any ults here, though. Correct me if I'm wrong. So it looks like they are just charging up their ults and trying to get a big push going. Ult economy pretty even for both sides, with Allen on that Coalesce so far.
Yeah, Allen Moira is sitting on that Coalescence, for the next defense. However, a little bit of perhaps a squandered ultimate from Corey, using that Valkyrie very preemptively in that fight. Perhaps they didn't know that a Relapse Spirit was empty in terms of ultimates. Now we do see a couple of hero swaps coming out from the attackers. Mullert will be on that Reaper. Not anymore though, as he'll be in the dirt, put there by Foolish's Tracer. Despite all of this though, look at our Larlia popping off yet again. This man's trapezoids must be so tired from carrying his team like this. What a great tack visor.
Absolutely. Halwyn just kind of out of position there and falling early in the fight will allow our Larlia to get a huge visor, and now it's just up to the defense to trickle defend. They have already lost first tick, so they already have lost the map technically, with Corey falling to our Larlia's assault rifle here. It looks like Relapse will in fact take the full 3 ticks as the second tick ticks by, and yep, that'll be it.
Oh, a master class in utilizing your environment and hero picks to your advantage. Relapse Spirit will be taking away our first map of tonight's best of 5 series. What I'm really curious with is why Zero Burst chose not to swap off of the Orisa after the first attack. Once you start trickling those, once you start trickling your respawns onto the defensive point, with these new rules, as with these new rules, the more defenders that are on the point, the slower the respawn is for the defending team. And so that Orisa already so slow, you saw her outline just trying to hop back onto the point, unfortunately not able to, reinforce quite in time.
Yeah, it takes quite a long time for Orisa to waddle onto the point there. So I do agree that they might have thought to switch to something like a Winston at the end. I do want to note that Halwyn also trying to take that forward position would have worked with a more mobile tank, but just kind of walking back to point there, not able to get out in time. But point is done now. It is going to be the control point here on Nepal. Both teams favoring this map style, so maybe we'll see a more even game this time.
Yeah, definitely both of these teams really enjoying the control point map types. Favors the dive compositions that they prefer to run. So it'll be the past of the past. You're right. Now it's on to map 2, and time for Zero Burst to bring back a couple of wins. Early on, at least, we see that Howlin will be onto that Winston pick. Zero Burst looking to run kind of that 2-2-2 Mercy Zenyatta dive, and on the opposite side, though, maybe we'll be seeing some air battles going down. Boda.
Very interesting. Our Larlia playing Genji, Soldier, and now playing Pharah. I'm going to be very interested to see that. And Halwyn, they did note that Halwyn is quite good at Winston and Orisa. Maybe that's why they were running it last game. But we are on Nepal now, so we're going to see what routes these teams take. Like Zero Burst opting to take the right side with that Mega Pack, and Corey falling early to our Larlia's pressure, getting both picks onto the supports, and early on showing his skill with quite a few DPS characters, getting a pick onto it last as well. That's 3 picks for our Larlia in the first fight here.
You know that song, Hallelujah, it's raining rockets. In this case, our Larlia, what a beautiful dive coming out between the Pharah and Ziftree's Winston. You saw that oftentimes in other Pharah dive compositions, there's a little bit lack of coordination between the air and the ground troops, but they're perfectly diving onto the Zenyatta right away, and then turning around and doming Alan as well, taking both supports out straight away. Absolutely, Relapse definitely earned every single percentage of the 25 that they've accrued so far.
Yep, I agree with you there, Ham, but Ziftree kind of getting a bit too aggressive and going on the high ground will fall as a result, and Halwyn getting a pick onto the mech of Stegs, killing him off as quickly afterwards. Looks like Zero is going to retake the point quite quickly here, as our Larlia is just trying to stay alive, not get staggered, and he is in fact will not fall. Does fall to the Tracer at the end, however, and they will flip the point out, but not after losing 45% here, Ham.
Yeah, Relapse can feel happy, nearly 50% on the board for them. However, Zero Burst have worked their way up to quite the well-stocked ultimate arsenal. 5 ultimates online, and Corey working up from 60%, and we all know how quickly that coalescence charges. Relapse, though, will be able to answer with our Larlia's Barrage. If the Pharah can get a good flanking angle, get even a couple of picks, this will definitely be the end of the fight. Oh!
Foolish with 3 picks at the start of the fight, and at last with his Dragon Blade, and that should shut down the offense here from Relapse. Very nice ult economy, just using the Pulse Bomb and the Dragon Blade to hold them off.
Yeah, definitely Zero Burst showing that they also have the ult discipline to hold a point steady. Still 4 online for the defenders, and now Relapse is going to have just the 2 support ults. Sound Barrier dropped immediately by Swimmer.
Swimmer with that Sound Barrier popping off early to try to take control of the point, and Arlalia will pick off at last. So this point going in the favor of the attacking team, but that ult advantage really showing itself here with Allen with that Valk and that self-destruct, getting a couple of picks here. Both Moths flying around in the sky, healing, damage boosting, and it looks like a self-destruct will in fact catch at last. I thought he just wanted his mech back, but actually taking a kill for his efforts. Zero with a Relapse with a couple of kills here to picks pretty even so far, as the clock does tick up to 80% in favor of Zero Burst. However, Relapse with a couple of picks here should turn the point around in short time.
Yes, that was quite a brawl, a very expensive fight for both of the teams just there. Every single ultimate being depleted except for Ziftri's Primal Rage. Relapse, though, are sitting at a little bit of an advantage. Alarlia is nearly 75% up to yet another barrage. However, at last, on Zero Burst's side, will be able to shut down any kind of defense with his blade. 90% nearly here for this Genji.
Yep, 90% on the Dragon Blade. As Allen falls to Ziftri's pressure early, that's going to mean that they're going to have to reset quite soon here. But at last pulls out the Dragon Blade, try to make another hero play. Meanwhile, Arlalia with the barrage catching 2 for his efforts. But picks going in favor of Relapse Spirit here as the clock ticks up to 85%, 90. This is going to be a fast reset from Zero Burst, and they're going to try to have to make a scrambled attempt to contest the point here, Ham.
Yeah, they have one more fight in them, ticking up towards 95%. As long as somebody can set a toe there and start up overtime, they have a chance. Howlin does have that Primal Rage ready to buy more time for his team, but that preemptive Diva Bomb out from Stegs is actually not going to catch anybody but himself out of that mech. He gets taken down by the self-destruct from Kurt Lebert. A big brawl on the point now. Trades going both sides, but Foolish is nearly up to a Pulse Bomb yet again, and this Tracer has been so accurate so far with his ultimate. However, he is actually taken out of the fight by Arlalia. It's going to be a considerable amount of DPS gone from the side of Zero Burst, as both is now going to be a battle of the monkeys on the point. Monkey and Baby Diva.
Battle of the Monkeys looking like Tarzan out here. But with the Pulse Bomb, Howlin will jump onto the Pulse Bomb. That's not a place you want to land, but Allen does get the res off. Quickly will fall as a result, but the Coalesce comes out from Corey, trying to just get some kind of foothold onto the point here. And the picks, unfortunately, going in the side of Relapse Spirit as Arlalia picks off at last, and it's just the Diva struggling to stay in mech, will fall out of mech. Foolish on the point, getting picked off by Arlalia, and that will do it for Relapse Spirit. Quite an exciting first point of Nepal here.
Yeah, 190%, much closer than our last map. Definitely see both of these teams fighting with everything that they have. Control Point also just a great place to showcase the individual power of these players. Control, kind of that great equalizer of map types. It really comes down to, a question of mechanical skill. And not to mention ult timing, Solo's Valkyrie at that very end, you saw that Zero Burst were able to put 3 bodies on the point as overtime was ticking down, but that extra damage boost from Solo's Mercy was what sealed the deal for Zero Burst.
Absolutely, that Valkyrie almost like a more powerful Orisa Bongo in my opinion, as you can splash it onto people and you are a little bit more mobile than a stationary Bongo. But as we go on to the second point in Nepal here, it looks like at last back on that Genji from that Pharah. He has been doing quite a good job on Genji so far, so we'll see how he does. Arlalia getting some free picks onto the Mercy, and Team Mueller will follow up on the damage, getting a pick onto both supports early. This should be an early cap from Relapse Spirit.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's actually a clean team wipe. Every single player from Zero Burst sent packing back to their spawn. And Arlalia's Pharah coming up big in terms of dividends yet again on our second map here. Zero Burst, I'm not sure if they have a hit scan player on their team, but they might want to consider a little bit more dedicated anti-air effort.
Definitely, since our Larlia has been tearing it apart on that far right here. And as you mentioned before, the coordination between him and Team Mueller just very nice, looking almost like a Genji in the sky with the coordination between him and Tracer.
Now those Zero Bursts making their way onto the point. You see flying high in the air is our Larlia. Actually finds Paydirt, takes down Alan, the Moira, and Corey yet again. Zero Burst supports the first to fall in this engagement as well. And that's definitely going to be clean, done, and dusted right there.
Very nice hold from Relapse here. Let's take a look at that Pharah play one more time here and just see those juicy directs.
And all of that rocket damage has earned our Larlia the barrage already, and it's going to be supplemented by Stegs and Zifri's tank ults. Swimmer as well, going to be ready with the Sound Bearer in our next fight. Not going to do anything against Foolish, but who needs a Sound Bearer when your best defense is an offensive barrage? It's Rain and Justice. Hallelujah.
Very nice play here. If you noticed, Relapse kind of just letting Zero Burst get onto the point and get set up, and then once they get on it, they pinch from all sides with Pharah attacking and just catching them in the back with that barrage. Very nice play. I also want to note that our Larlia has been doing this interesting technique where he uses a left-click rocket to get him a little bit of height, and then after that, getting the shift, allowing him to get very high in the sky. I've never actually seen that before.
Yeah, it's a great dive coming in from between our Larlia and Winston. Yet again, nearly takes down the Moira, but it's going to be Kurt LeBert out of his mech for his troubles here. Dragonblade is out on the point from Avast, but the kill feed is entirely the other way. It's Stegs and Zifri, the two tanks from Relapse, picking up all the kills, all the frags on the point here, defending with all their might. I mean, Howlin, how long can one Raging Monkey last? Overtime is ticking down, but there's not even going to be a single toe on the point from Zero Burst. And Relapse Spirit making it look all too easy. That's a solid 2-0 for that team.
Absolutely. Halwyn, like an angry monkey escaped from the zoo, will quickly get sent back to his grave, unfortunately. And Kurt LeBert not being able to touch on that D.Va either, getting body blocked at the end. Just a very nice hold from Relapse coming out. Not much more to say.
That's right. However, this could be where we all see it change. Sanctum, such a great map for environmental kills, strongly favors any team that likes to run the Orisa Roadhog. And as you mentioned before, Boda Howlin and, Howlin and Kurt LeBert both really prefer playing these heroes. Perhaps this is their time to shine on Sanctum, bring things back around for Zero Burst.
I'm going to be paying close attention to those environmental kills here as both teams opt to take the left-hand side here and vie for that high ground. Pharah and Junkrat just spamming rockets in from both sides, and an early pick from Ziftry onto the Orisa as the barrier damage was just too much, but a counter hook from Kurt LeBert will take out Ziftry. However, Stegs with that environmental kill onto Alan and slowly getting rest. Oh no, Swimmer! That's not where you want to go!
It's okay, Swimmer. Nobody saw that. Elucio falling off the edge of a cliff. Just not a sight that is very common that we see in Overwatch these days. However, the rest of his team has his back, and Relapse Spirit going to be taking first capture of this Sanctum point.
First capture does go to Relapse Spirit, but Kurt LeBert with an early entry frag on the Junkrat, and Foolish with that Riptire might mean an early retake from Zero Burst here.
Ooh, both of the teams fighting. Oh man.
Ooh.
Huge 3-man. Let's check out that replay. That thing deserves probably 2, 3, 4 maybe replays. Absolutely caught Relapse Spirit off guard. They weren't expecting the investment of the barrage as they were retreating. May have been a little bit overeager, a little over aggressive from Zero Burst, but they have won the point.
At last saying, you can barrage, well I can too, as our Larlia gets a nice Riptire kill onto Corey, and Ziftry with that whole hog, taking out the Junkrat. Valkyrie has been popped from solo, might have confirmed the kill. Oh, but a nice whole hog onto Kurt will take him out. I don't know if it's going to be enough though, as there were a lot of early picks coming out from Relapse Spirit here.
It has stalled the point for Zero Burst a little bit, earned them a little bit more point percentage. However, that whole hog is a pretty big ultimate to invest just to earn a couple more percentage points, because such a good CC ult, especially for overtime fights. You can get rid of all the bodies off the point, and then you won. No kills necessary. However, Zero Burst will be looking in to come in hot again. Corey has earned the Valkyrie and at last very close to a barrage again. However, Muller can change all of that with his Pathfinder. Oh!
Ziftry with a nice hook onto Foolish, but Foolish just tosses that concussion mine and does not die, and will kill the enemy Junkrat for his efforts here. Barrage coming out from At Last, another nice barrage getting the Mercy. They might be able to retake here. Soldier falls to Marissa's pressure on the point, and it's just a couple of stragglers left in that little cubby room, and they're gonna fall to that Junkrat spam.
Very back and forth fights between both of these teams, basically swung off of the strength of their ultimate economy alone. It almost feels like, ooh, painful stagger onto Ziftry. That's Zero Burst will likely be able to defend for quite some time more. They have that Orisa Battle Bongo as well as the Coalescence and the Valkyrie. Relapse Spirit definitely going to have to make sure that their target prioritization is perfect for their next couple of pushes.
Yeah, they're going to have to focus down those targets that have the ultimates if possible, and they're going to have to fight up against the Valkyrie. They do have a Valkyrie of their own as a Riptire comes out from our Larlia. Will he catch anyone with it? It's rolling, and the Harden coupled with the Foolish spam will make it not catch anyone for his efforts. Oh, but Howin will fall off the edge here to the whole hog along with his bongo. Picks going both sides, but Solo with that mop up in the air is going to be bringing up his teammates here. Muller getting a pick onto Pharah, and the picks are going firmly in favor of Relapse here.
Yeah, a very late Valkyrie from Corey unfortunately meant that Zero Burst was fighting on the back foot throughout that fight. Kurt Lebert was trying his best in the corner over there. Ooh, brought back yet another time. Come on, Roadhog, your service is not quite done yet, just now. Oh, man. Oh, that's a beautiful sacrifice. We appreciate your sacrifice, Ziftry. Both he and Kurt Lebert go off the edge, but that's going to mean the point flip for Relapse Spirit.
Ziftry grabbing the enemy Roadhog and says, if you can't live, neither can I. Dragging him off the edge there.
Now, Relapse Spirit will have to play their cards carefully. At Last has been getting so much traction off of the barrages so far, and looking for an angle there, didn't quite see what he liked. Very close. He's gonna have to know that Muller may just have another tack visor on hand, but if that soldier is able to go down early on, no, it's actually gonna be Howlin.
Oh no!
The pin yet again, and Aurelia coming up big once more. A 2K off of a concussion bomb of all things, being the anti-Junkrat, being the anti-air hero his team needs, and with that, Relapse Spirit maintains their lead in tonight's Best of 5 series 2-0 against Zero Burst.
Yeah, definitely was battle of the environmental kills there, as the Roadhogs and Orissas were doing quite a lot of work. At last, actually getting to play the game here with that excellent Dragon Blade, with the anti-air Dragon Blade there. Quite a fun game to watch. It wasn't as one-sided as it seemed. The Zero Burst actually getting a lot of good holds, but Relapse Spirit just better on those last point holds, in my opinion.
Yeah, Relapse Spirit perhaps showing slightly more teamwork, despite the fact that they are a newly formed roster. Another bit of information that for our viewers here is there is a little bit of a SR differential between these teams. Relapse Spirit hovering around the 4K, 4.2K range, and Zero Burst bringing it in at 3.9. So there is a little bit of difference between SR, but wow, Zero Burst can't take anything away from that team, especially on that last Sanctum map, absolutely bringing it very close. Very close.
I totally agree. At last had a couple of really nice barrages going toe-to-toe with our Larlia there, and a couple of nice environmental kills from Halloween as well. But interested to see where they take them for this next game, as it looks like Relapse is going to be making a swap potentially here.
Yeah, we did have one player from Relapse leave, perhaps a swap coming in. Looks like early on at least we might just be going to an escort or maybe a hybrid map, Gibraltar, Hollywoods, something like that. Definitely a change of pace. Definitely a change of pace from these stationary objective maps. Any predictions on what we might be seeing coming in, right? Maybe any friendly suggestions on team comps that might help these teams.
Well, I see Hal saying Gibraltar in all chat. So on those payload type maps, I've been seeing a lot of Bastion ham. What do you think about that strat, putting Bastion on the payload?
You, sir, are talking to the correct Bastion pirate ship expert. I casted probably like, I don't know, 15 hours of just pirate ship and Junker Town. I've seen all the Bastion, all the Roadhog.
I'm so sorry. You've been through so much.
It's okay. The suffering has totally been worth it because it's actually a very unique composition.
It is.
That, you know, absolutely works better on these linear maps, something we see very often on Junkertown, something we actually see a little bit on Gibraltar, not Gibraltar, on Route 66 as well. Gibraltar would be a first in a while for me. I can't remember any pro games or where I saw this strat come out, but it's still equally valid.
Yeah, I've seen it in some Grandmaster scrims, but you're right that I haven't seen it on pro game proper yet. But it looks like Relapse is picking that Mei to start. Very nice pick against the Bastion strat, but it does look like Zero Burst is going to go for the more standard Winston. Winston typically preferred for his vertical mobility, as Gibraltar does have quite a bit of that with the beam up here and the high ground. So looking to get a little bit of mobility there. Also with the DPS going Genji Tracer here. Going to be interesting to see how it pans out.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, actually, I think probably one of the biggest surprises is the fact that they aren't running a soldier. A defensive 76 set up on the high ground with, you know, one of the supports, maybe a Zen up there, or typically it was actually an Ana, I believe, during like the envious Gibraltar full hold days. But you are giving up, I think, a bit if not running that soldier. But Zero Burst definitely seems to be a team that prefers running that full dive, or at least the Genji Tracer. So I'm certain that these DPS picks will work out just as well for them.
Meanwhile, Relapse with that solo healer Mercy definitely up to the task with that Hanzo trying to get the picks in the back and that standard Genji Tracer we're so used to seeing. Our Larlia coming up here with Stegs up in the high ground. Larlia dashes in and we'll just get some poke damage and try to get set up on the point here.
Both these teams just getting a little bit of poke damage in as the payload moves towards the car wash. Now the dive comes in from both of the tanks of Relapse Spirit, and ooh, it's going to be Howlin going down early. Res forced out by Allen, so that means they're not going to be able to bring back anybody else, but they're not going to need to, as Kurt Lebert was able to cut our Larlia out of the fight.
Yeah, Kurt Lebert getting a nice early pick onto the Genji will mean a nice defense here. Hopefully very early Dragon Blade coming out from At Last, and he will cast Ziftry for it, but will fall to the Zenyatta's pressure, who actually gets 2 kills there. However, Kurt Lebert is cleaning up. No mech left. The solo's going absolutely insane, but Correa says, nope, your reign is over here, Zenyatta, and picks him off.
Does the solos stand for solo carry? Because I believe I counted 3 kills for the Zenyatta in that last fight. I mean, not the least of which was definitely not that ulting Genji shutdown. However, Zero Burst have the bodies here and they're making a stand on this final point. Genji Blade out from Alarlia does manage to find his counterpart, but the trades are going fairly evenly, 2 for 2 now between both of these teams. Diva Bomb out now here, just zoning, buying a little bit more time for the defenders, but not going to be able to pick up any kills. It's all just a trickle fight here now, as Howlin goes down to the tickle gun from Ziftry, and that's going to be in a first point for Relapse Spirit. Plenty of time left on the bank.
That hurts. Howlin was at 99% trying to tickle them to death, but will fall before getting that primal rage. As a Winston main, I'm used to that kind of pain deep in my heart.
Oh no. Oh, the salt. I feel it. I'm a Rhine main, so we're just 2 different flavors of salt. But that very dominant first point take is going to mean that Relapse Spirit will have the free run of this shuttle high ground, crucial for getting the distance on the payload here.
Yep, At Last with a nice dash through onto Swimmer, and will also pick off Solo, so there's no supports left from the side of Relapse. But they will still keep trying out as the Primal Rage comes out in front of the spawn, and the cart is moving. It doesn't matter if they have any healers, if they're trapped in their spawn, as Zero will only have one more fight here on the streets phase of Gibraltar. Alwyn comes in.
Preemptive Valkyrie out from Allen, just giving that little bit of extra damage boost, and ooh, it is paying dividends. Stegs is one of the first ones to go down in this fight, forces out the Valkyrie, his own Valkyrie, out from Swimmer here. Now, Dragon Blade out from Alarlia, though, and nothing to answer back on the side of Zero Burst, that Correa having been taken out of the fight. Trey's going very back and forth right here. It's an absolute brawl on the payload. Baby Diva's flying around, trying the best to just stall out Kurt LeBert, being very sneakery. Oh, he still actually hasn't been taken down, finally. Finally, Baby Diva is going to be sent back to spawn. And after a bit of a tussle, Relapse Spirit still making pretty good time into second point.
Wow, and a nice stagger onto Allen as well. Stegs and Ziftry on that cart seem to last forever. There are about 4 people from Zero on the point, but those 2 tanks just making nice work of them towards the end there.
Coming around this third point, though, both teams looking very skinny in terms of ult. It's going to be 1 self-destruct for Relapse and 1 Primal Rage for Howlin. So a tank ult apiece. Ooh, a little bit of an ill-advised dive from Zifri. Immediately gets collapsed upon, gives his life to the effort. Muller, though, still trying to do work in the back, manages to take out Correa, but with Swimmer down from the side of Relapse Spirit, they're probably going to go and just reset, try again.
Definitely Muller just charging up that pulse bomb and saying peace, dipping out here as Zero Burst takes a forward position and tries to take her as she gets back, but no, they will not get the Tracer, and in fact will get the full might of Relapse Void on them. However, Howlin with an early pick onto our Larlia should signal some nice plays here. Unfortunately, Stegs did catch Howlin with that self-destruct, and Trade's going pretty evenly back and forth with that last with that Dragon Blade will fall to the DPS.
Zero Burst with a pretty good defense so far is so incredibly difficult to get the payload up that ramp and around the corner towards third, and that Primal Rage is going to be the painful icing on top, just buying more time off of the clock for Zero Burst's defense. However, they are going to be relying solely on Allen's Valkyrie in this next fight to bring them back from the brink. And Relapse Spirit are going to be sitting on 4 ultimates to try to make their way forward. Biggest one definitely to watch out for is going to be our Larlia's Dragon Blade.
Yep, we know our Larlia loves to make sashimi out of people with that Dragon Blade, so let's place close attention to him there. Muller with an easy pick onto Correa there to start the fight will mean that they don't have any chance of Transcendence there, and Zeftry with that Primal Rage will also take out at last. Allen comes in with that Valkyrie though, and Foolish picks off the Mercy. Solo forced to transcend here to try to swing the fight in their favor as Ziftry picks off the Diva. However, Howlin with a pick onto Solo in the back there. Big self-destruct coming out from Stegs. Does not catch anyone as they get off the point there. Correa with a nice pick onto T. Mueller will force Relapse Void to fall back here.
Ooh, just unlucky sequence of events for Relapse Spirit in that last fight. Swimmer had the Valkyrie, had the ability to maintain momentum by bringing up fallen members, but Solo's Transcendence just a little bit too late to save the Mercy's life. So they're going to have to work back up to a couple more offensive ultimates, will Relapse Spirit. On the side of the defense, though, wow, 4 ultimates all up for Zero Burst. Not the most important one definitely going to be Correa's Transcendence. If they can manage to delete that Zenyatta early on, no, it is going to be Foolish doing the deleting. Big 2k Pulse Bomb for that Tracer right there. Not going to stifle the momentum from Relapse Spirit, though, but it will force the Valkyrie out from Swimmer.
Yep, no resurrects left on that Valkyrie from Swimmer, and it is fading away. That Moth is no more as Foolish picks off Ziftry in the back, at last getting a pick as well. That double tap on the Pulse Bomb really stifling that offense, like you said, like a blanket over the face of the offense.
Yeah, absolutely. There's really no counterplay for a great Tracer and her great Pulse Bombs. I mean, you saw Swimmer went in with the Valkyrie, but bringing back the 2 fallen Pulse Bomb victims means there's nobody to bring back your Zenyatta. And now Relapse Spirit only going to have the Primal Rage and Self-Destruct to try and open up this point. Zero Burst with plenty of tools to answer back.
Definitely. Foolish actually charged up another Pulse Bomb in the course of that fight, so we will have that in his back pocket as Stegs dives onto the backline with the Winston and the Mercy, getting a pick onto Correa early. Our Larlia getting a kill onto the Winston will force out the res from Allen, and a lot of ults coming out from Relapse, but the picks are going in their favor as Allen uses his last res on that Valkyrie here. 30 seconds left in the fight as Relapse gets closer and closer to that destination there. Self-destruct not catching anyone, but Stegs will get his mech back for it.
Ooh, no. Solo goes down to the shotgun cannons of Kurt Libbert. This is likely going to mean the end of this push. How long can a single Genji sustain on this payload? Oh, it's going to be our Larlia versus the world. Manages to get back to the safety of his team, but with the time ticking down, somebody has to tap into this payload and start up overtime. Oh, by the skin of his teeth, Stegs manages to get the mech onto the payload, but everything is coming up blue in this kill feed, and Solo going in at the last second desperation res is going to give up his life for the effort, and with this, it's likely going to be the nail in the coffin for Relapse.
Just a little Tracer left on the point, and at last we'll pull out that Dragon Blade, and we'll pull out that Valkyrie, and that's just going to be a nice hold on the third point of Gibraltar here. Really nice play from the Tracer and the Genji there on the defense.
Sides.
Oh yeah, the Genji Tracer showing up huge for Zero Burst in that defense. You can say that the environment favors the defenders all day long, but you can't take away from just that mechanical skill that we saw there, not to mention the target prioritization. So many times it was the Mercy or the Zen to be the first to fall in those engagements, and once you lose the support, you lose all of the sustain, which you desperately need for that third point. I mean, the attacking respawn is so far away comparatively.
Yep, they had the spawn advantage for sure there. What do you think about the dive on the side of the attacking team on Relapse Void there? The tanks jumping in.
That was actually kind of, we saw the painful consequences of some improper dives, I would say, early on, Ziftry being the first one to fall, and that Winston getting maybe a little bit over aggressive, or maybe the comms just not quite clear, people not following up on his initiation. But actually, I wanted to point out before, things got so hype and excited as the payload was rounding up the back, that second to last fight when the payload was finally able to make its way underneath that catwalk was all about the beautiful dive between Ziftry and Stegs onto that high ground, immediately deleted the Zen out of the picture. And actually, one of the biggest things, which perhaps we'll see a highlight someday, but it was actually Stegs body blocking at last Genji Blade from his Mercy. Oh,
I noticed that as well.
Beautiful play. I was just like, oh, Diva sacrificing her body.
Yeah, that's why I pointed that out, because I noticed Stegs and Ziftry coordinating that dive onto the Zenyatta and just really catching them out. Almost got them the full point there. But we do see a Bastion coming out here. I don't know if they're going to stay on it, but I'm not going to lie. I kind of want to see it here, him.
Dude, Boda, you are clairvoyant. Your predictions are coming true. I'm going to have to eat my words, as it looks like Zero Burst might just be rolling out of spawn with the modified pirate ship. This is Gibraltar, and you got 2 shields, so we're going to call it the safety egg.
Wow, and they're actually going triple tank too with that Zarya. Very nice, because Zarya does have quite a bit of DPS. Looks like they are ready for it, however. Stegs on that Diva should be able to defense matrix the Bastion. They're diving in behind here. Diva defense matrixing the Bastion, but not being able to pick her off as Foolish picks off Ziftry. Bastion, a great pick against the Winston, and the Foolish just kind of holding down his mouse button and deleting the entire enemy team here. Kill feed entirely Foolish.
That's gonna be really, really painful. I mean, one of the biggest advantages you have when you run Pirate Ship or Safety Egg is how unexpected this composition is. Relapse Spirit obviously had no idea this was coming, and were so poorly equipped to try and deal with it. However, now, our Larlia has managed to find the angle onto Foolish, manages to take him out, and Allen will go down to a beautiful, crispy headshot from Swimmer. There can be only one. That's a beautiful winning of the support war right there. And once that Bastion is taken out of the game, once the Bastion has been dislodged from that payload, it's going to be so difficult for him to set up here, and immediately we see the hero swaps coming out from Zero Burst. Wholesale swaps at last, back onto that classic Genji pick, and Howland saying, all right, it was good while it lasted. We're going to go 2-2-2 dive again.
Definitely. Bastion kind of like a piece of popcorn stuck in your teeth, but once you dislodge it, that's game over, and they are going to switch back to that standard dive here.
Our Larlia already on this high ground on the 76, as I mentioned earlier, so strong here. This positioning going to require so many resources to dive. Ooh, Swimmer does manage to give his life, but our Larlia has worked up to a tac rise. They're going to be huge the moment that Cuthbert gets demeched. But this is a one fight, not even going to need that ultimate in order to hold. Relapse Spirit standing strong so far, with Zero Burst with a little less than 2 minutes left to try and make it to point A.
Yeah, that was a nice dive by Halloween onto the high ground, and at last did pick off Swimmer. But as you said, our Larley up there with that soldier high ground is just so hard to deal with, and he didn't even have to give up Tac Visor there. They will have that in their back pocket for this last couple of fights coming up on Gibraltar.
On the attacking side, though, Foolish has the Pulse Bomb ready in his back pocket. He can absolutely change the tide of the fight, but he's not going to be doing it in respawn. He's going to be the first person to fall, a little bit outdueled by Muller right there. However, Alan has the Resurrection, going to invest it, the Valkyrie, going to invest it right away in this fight. Combating is the Battle of the Flying Mercies here. Halo not making much distance, however, as both teams just slowly wearing away at one another. So much healing keeping all the members of both teams up for such a long time.
Dragon Blade comes out from at last, and Swimmer responds with his trance, but at last will pick off Stegs. He is not in the radius up top. Solo uses the second res from Valkyrie to bring her back up. Meanwhile, Kurt Lebert picks off Muller with his self-destruct. Looks like the kill feed is coming up in Zero's favor here finally, but Alan does fall to Stegs in the back. Will they be able to do it without their main healer here? Looks like the answer is yes, as the cart rolls in and that door starts to slowly open.
That was actually a really great D-mech onto Stegs without that damage mitigation from the Matrix. Every single bullet was from the attackers finding Paydirt, and he saw it to great effect. And now Zero Burst with the advantage. They're ready to push forward. They know that they're already going to be fighting against the clock. It's going to be very difficult to match the time bank going into Thursday. They're pushing in with a very aggressive positioning, but not getting too greedy. You see, very great positioning. D.Va still at the bottom to zone anybody away from that choke, while Eulalia is playing goalkeeper up in the top left.
Eulalia up top, but will be forced down by a huge swarm of relapse players as they do dive onto the point. Primal Rage comes out from Ziftree in the backline, will force out the Transcendence from Corray, which will open up Eulalia for that eventual Tac Visor, but Swimmer, wow, Swimmer says, you can get a triple tap on Zenyatta solo, I can too, and that should be a full hold from Relapse.
Yeah, definitely a very strong rebuff of that push right there. You saw that Zero Burst, everything was looking fine and dandy for him on paper there, but unfortunately just not quite able to come up with the execution to bring things through. Relapse with good positioning on this shuttle right here. Eulalia set up ready to unload his Tac Visor onto the heads of Zero Burst as they move in. Dive onto the top of shuttle by both of the tanks. Relapse gonna choose to bend but not break. Goes down onto the low ground. Ooh, but Muller actually gonna be eating a couple of orbs from Corray, and that's actually might just be crucial. The DPS from Relapse has been halved.
Yep, that DPS player falling early, but Stegs with a nice self-destruct, catching Genji and Winston here, turns the tides back in the favor of Relapse. What a big self-destruct there. It looked like the fight was won from Zero, but Stegs says no with that D.Va bomb. And Team Muller getting a pick onto the enemy Tracer should secure it for another reset here.
Yeah, as much as we've been praising the DPS, Eulalia, even the fragging, support player, Stegs has been coming up really huge on this D.Va. Ooh, but who's coming up huger? Muller. Everybody on this team has been drinking from the potion of huge ultimates. That's going to be a 2K for the Tracer, and time is whittling down for Zero to try and make a stand here, at least get to point B.
They will have that Transcendence and they will have that Pulse Bomb, but will it be enough against the double support ults coming out from Relapse here and that firm defensive position on top of the Space Shuttle? Valkyrie popped early from Relapse in an attempt to just win this fight early with that damage boost. At last falls to Eulalia and D.Va's pressure, and the Mercy will fall as well. This is a catastrophe for Zero Burst here.
Ooh, really unlucky. Eulalia just piling on now with this Tac Visor. It's basically a one fight. 4 seconds ticking down now. That's right, Swimmer. You trance on the payload. You give everybody some free enlightenment. Why not? Relapse Spirit showing up strong yet again, taking away our third map of tonight.
Yep, definitely some nice DPS coming out from both teams' supporting classes, if I do say so myself. You see the tanks on both sides and the healers getting a lot of frags there, really showing that they can match the DPS's output there.
Yeah, we saw kind of in that very last fight as overtime was was coming as the timer was ticking down. Zero Burst kind of going for like a split push, put the D.Va on the payload, let the rest of the team take care of the defenders who are going to fall off of the shuttle. But unfortunately, with the Genji dying to our Larlia right off the bat, is severely going to hamper their push. And unfortunately, that split up team just not quite working out for Zero Burst right there.
Exactly that. They were split up, and so the extra damage from the Valkyrie able to pick off the people in the backline quite quickly, and just not really getting a chance to even touch, honestly, at the end. But very nice game from both sides. Very exciting ultimates coming out with a lot of double tap pulse bombs and the like. As we queue into King's Row here, another hybrid escort map this time.
Yeah, here perhaps we'll be seeing a little bit more of the shield battles going down instead of the tickle cannons from both Winstons. Zero Burst might just be able to find a little bit of an advantage here. They have Howlin, who really prefers to play those play the Orisa, who has a place here on this linear map. Gonna have to go up against the Reinhardt from Ziftree though, who does count himself as a Reinhardt main.
I'm excited to see that because I do also play Reinhardt myself quite a bit, so I love the big German man. He does a lot of damage with his axe there.
Oh yeah, you never discount the hammer damage. Ooh, a little bit of a pause here, folks, as not quite sure, maybe a little bit of technical issue from one of our players, but no worries. We'll be sure to bring you right back into the game after a short break.
Our Larlia, but it does look like Howlin on that Orisa and Foolish actually selecting Bastion here. That is a viable strat on King's Row. But I'm just interested in seeing, where do you think they're going to set up here, Ham?
I'm actually not entirely sure which team will be defending. Will it be... open division rules is that the loser will be the defenders first, but we've kind of, it's Scrim Knights, both the teams just trying out some new stuff, so not entirely sure. But if it is a Bastion, Orisa, Reinhardt composition, standing on the high ground would definitely be a really unique take if you're on the defending side. On the offensive side, though, I'm actually not quite sure, because that Bastion is going to have to pick up and move himself each time, and once he's out of that sentry mode, he's the turret mode, he's actually very vulnerable.
I do have a feeling that the Bastion's on the defensive side. It would be interesting to see it on offense, to be sure, but with that Widowmaker selected by Solo, I have a feeling that they're going to be attacking. Oh, but Foolish actually switching to the Junkrat here. Also very strong in that choke. Going to be able to get a lot of spam damage off. And he will leave the spawn as Junkrat here. So they're going to be running a Orisa, Zarya, Zero Burst is, with the Soldier presumably up on high ground on top of apartments there on left, and Foolish just spamming into the choke, hopefully from Hotel. Meanwhile, Moira and Mercy just providing that nice burst heal onto them.
Yeah, Moira definitely a great support player to run whenever you have these heavy tanks. Her burst healing, really huge, could be comparable to Ana's. And she also has that range, so even if, the Orisa, she can keep herself safe in the back line if necessary. On the attacking side, Ziftree going to be going on that Winston, Stegs bringing up with the Zarya. Not sure if they're expecting the Bastion. They are running Mullert. Oh, as I say that, it's going to be swapping off of the McCree. You have some long-range damage for that Junkrat, but now they've switched onto kind of this more classic U2 dive. So Ziftree going to have to be careful. Watch out for Foolish, because as we remember from preseason, Tymo, he burst down a Winston by himself. So very dangerous.
Our Larlia with a couple early picks, getting the finishing blows on Correa and Allen from the tank's damage, and that's a lot of red in the kill feed. Wow, Relapse just already starting to get those spawn kills in streets. That is just a absolute roll here. They had two snipers selected at the start, but they kind of debated us and just went for a nice dive comp and just rolled the first point of King's Row.
Yeah, a beautiful dive coming out from Relapse. Excuse me. Zero Burst definitely not quite expecting perhaps that aggressive of a dive. I mean, straight around, onto the point, around the corner, into the back of the hotel. And unfortunately, the slow defensive composition just not really able to bend back without losing a couple of members. Now, however, Howland evening things up with a kill onto Muller, but it's going to be Arlarlia diving back deep. He has the blade drawn, looking, he's hungry, he wants more Japanese food. But wisely, he's going to be backing off here now as the Coalescence is invested from Allen, but he's actually going to fall to the tickle cannon of Ziftry. This man, this monkey, he's channeling some Arlarlia? That's a 4K right there.
Wow.
Oh, man, Gorilla too strong.
Looks like he's not too strong for a little Korean woman, though, as he will fall to the mini diva. But that doesn't really matter as they slowly roll around the corner here on King's Row. They should be able to take Streets phase here. Let's see if Zero Burst will in fact contest. Looks like they're rearing to with Howland up on the high ground on Winston, and they might make a last-minute contest here.
Correa is about to come into that Valkyrie. Ooh, last minute. Yep, Howland's gonna be tagging in and immediately At Last dives into the back, but he's been preempted. Oh, Relapse was savvy to the plan. Transcendence popped immediately. Oh, Diva Bomb had such good potential. Doesn't pick up any kills, but Foolish able to find Swimmer with just the vanilla pulse pistols. However, Valkyrie is still active for solo. Brings that Zenyatta back up here, and all of the Tracers' hard work has been undone in just a second.
Yep, all that Tracer's work is done as both of the Moths fall out of the sky. How went on to pick with a pick onto Arlarlia, and that self-destruct does catch some people. Are they going to finish it after losing some people early? It looks like Relapse Void just might actually win the fight off the back of that self-destruct from Stegs. It looked like the fight was going in favor of Zero Burst, but the Stegs coming with that clutch self-destruct once again.
Happy Halloween indeed, Stegs, or a happy payload distance movement. I'm not sure if there's a holiday for that. However, Zero Burst, they invested quite a lot in that last fight. However, At Last is already 66% up to yet another Dragon Blade, but Arlarlia is going to have it first. Goes in the back. He wants to end this fight right now. Ooh, but he's going to have to try again as he's taken out of the fight by At Last. A little bit more of a brawly fight, but all of Zero Burst are clustered, forced back towards their spawn here as the payload making quite a bit of distance.
Yeah, Payload really chugging along there as the Coalesce comes out from Allen, and Howland picks off Swimmer in the back lines. Solo will bring Swimmer back up, but will fall as a result. Looks like this push might be over from Relapse here as they're trying to get some stagger kills here. Stegs will pick off At Last, but I really think they should back out here. However, Stegs comes out with that self-destruct, not catching anyone for his efforts. However, as they're still trying to contest the payload as it's still moving. Ziftry picking off Correa in the back, and Stegs with the dash by kill onto Howland.
Oh, what a chase from the Winston there. He would just not let that Mercy go. But now At Last wants to put the nail in the coffin for this push. Dives in the back. He has his own blade yet again. This guy is an ultimate generating machine here. Unfortunately, though, he can't face up to the might of all of the members of Relapse trickling back in. Finally, however, it might just be time to give that push up for lost as Relapse, struggling, pushing for so long, finally going to be regrouping.
Yeah, it seemed like they were just kind of impatient to finish the map almost, Ham. They were just almost forcing fight after fight there, but they do decide to reset here and kind of take a slower approach.
Yeah, it's going to be the grind game here. Both teams don't have many ultimates on. It's just going to be Solo's Valk and Howland's Primal Rage. Ooh, the Valkyrie popped very preemptively. Perhaps the Mercy a little bit under pressure, or just trying to give the team a little bit of extra boost, a little bit of extra confidence coming in. Stegs throws that Diva Bomb in, only going to find the mech of Kurt Lebert, but that's still going to be a big one. Allows Ziftry to take the Baby Diva out from the fight, and ooh, Foolish eats yet another headshot orb from Swimmer. The payload's thundering in, and there's not going to be a single body from the defense. Once Correa goes down, and the Winston, Howland not going to have any Primal Rage here, and all of the players from the defense getting batted back by the angry forearms of this Primal Raging Winston.
At Last pulls out that Dragon Blade, but unfortunately Swimmer has the Transcendence in his back pocket, and Meditation is stronger than Steel, apparently. At Last staying alive on the point, but for how long? How long can they stall?
This is incredible amount of stall, but in the end, oh no, Kurt Lebert just not quite able to tag back in. Oh, a decisive attack from Relapse. They say we are to be taken seriously on all map types. Thank you, but regardless, a very strong defense from Zero Burst there. You know that at the very last second stall coming out from them, still very impressive. Gonna be yes. Go ahead.
Definitely exciting to watch them stagger onto the point like that. Correa unfortunately fell after rezzing Howlwin, and he did not have that Primal Rage like you said. I just wanted to note, I've noticed Solo really likes popping that Valk early at the start of fights to get that damage boost and just be able to jump in and res as early as possible. What do you think about that?
It's a pretty unique strat that oftentimes we think of Mercy's, the Resurrection, as being a reactionary ultimate. When a team member falls, oh, it's time to bring them back up, I'm gonna ult, right? But actually Valkyrie can be an excellent sieging ultimate, force the team to face you, especially when you're on the attacking side. You have all these damage boosted heroes thundering in towards you. You have to react. You can either give up distance, which is impossible towards this third point. Zero Burst didn't have any more meters to give, so that means that you have to engage, and that was the time for Relapse to just pounce on them with all that extra damage amp and just wipe the floor with the defenders.
Yep, you can definitely get a lot out of that damage buff, but also it makes it so you don't have to pop the ult in order to dash to that corpse and res it. So it's very... I'm actually a big fan of doing it when I play Mercy in competitive as well. That's why I'm taking note of it. But from the defensive side here, we do have a triple tank coming out with that McCree as the solo DPS. Swimmer and Solo on that Mercy and Moira, respectively, to heal up those tanks.
Yeah, a totally different approach for Relapse Spirit on the defending round now, going for that triple tank. It's going to be all about giving Muller the space, it's actually T. Muller the space that he needs to get work done on that McCree. However, if one of the tank line falls early on, it's going to be very difficult for this defense to hold. So it's all going to be about the pick game for Zero Burst and the grinding game for Relapse.
See if they can grind out a defense here indeed, as Zero Burst takes the high ground here on Apartments, looking for a dive onto the defensive position.
Zero Burst, though, currently just setting up their position around the periphery of this point, not really investing a lot of bodies on the objective itself. Ooh, looking for a pick like that. At last, positioned beautifully in the backline there, manages to get Solo. However, T. Muller able to answer back with his own 2 kills, and with the attacking damage severely hampered, Zero Burst probably going to be falling back for now. However, Kurt Liebert has actually worked up to a Diva Bomb already.
Wow, very fast Diva Bomb coming out for him. Definitely, I saw him spamming down, and he will toss it in to start off the fight. Does not catch anyone for his efforts, however, as Howlwin gets in the back line, and with the damage from the Helix Rocket, will finish off Stegs. Howlwin tickling everyone to death on the point, and will pop that Primal. However, Ziftry gets a nice charge onto Correa. No main healer left for Zero Burst. That might mean the end of their push, but the Angry Monkey is alive and well on the point, pops the bubble, and the Soldier with that attack visor on the high ground, not catching anyone, unfortunately. Swimmer flying around in that Moth. I don't think Zero Burst should commit to this fight, but they are popping that Valk, and let's see if they can make something out of this.
Oh, what they're going to be doing is getting a free trip back to respawn. Fatty Shatty out from Zifri, lays all of the attackers down low, and Larlia just piling in on the back, making everybody taste his Roadhog scrap gun, picks up the Mercy, picks up the Soldier, picks up the Moira. Oh man, Relapse Spirit is just on a roll right here. Zero Burst, you saw that they were trying to catch Relapse Spirit off guard. At last was positioned very well on the high ground there, and Correa did have that Valkyrie back, so they're trying to catch them off guard. They had lost, I believe Relapse Spirit maybe lost a couple of members there as you're trying to make sure that they had that man advantage pushing in, but unfortunately they were not taking into account that big CC ult from Zifri.
Ooh, that big ult from Ziftry is followed up by a big ult by Stegs. As we said last time, grab if you have, shatter after. They didn't have grab, but now they do. And they use it to secure this fight as well. Tank ultimates coming out huge for Relapse Void. Relapse Spirit. I don't know why I keep calling him Relapse Void.
The void will suck you in. Yes, but more likely it's going to be Ziftry's Shatter laying them low again. Ooh, well, they check their corners, ready for that play of the game. Reddit Reinhardt, big charge coming in, and he's actually going to miss it. Gets back to the safety of his team, however.
Ooh, but a fat Shatter comes out, and the swing damage will get a triple kill for his efforts.
Oh man, there's just, I don't know. Reinhardt mains here. We're gonna hold hands. We're gonna do a kumbaya dance. There's just nothing better than a beautifully laid Shatter just like that. Zifri. I mean, we don't often think about Reinhardt's tank players, especially main tanks, as being big stars on their teams, but this guy's Golden Hammer, he has that hammer for a reason.
Absolutely. I think the only thing better than getting a fat Shatter is shouting about it in the voice comms. As Ziftry comes in with a nice charge onto Halwyn, will not kill him, and another Shatter comes out, catching Alan at last, getting a Shatter instantly after the first one. No one falling, however, but Miller T will pop his High Noon, getting the mech of Kurt Lebert, but at what cost? As Foolish pops the Pulse Bomb onto our Larlia. Another grab coming out in the back line from Stegs will kind of stall them off the point, but Zero Burst is not done yet. They're still on the point with that Orisa, and they're gonna pop that Moira ult. Looks like they're still on the point, but the kill feed is just dangerously red at this point. Relapse Spirit making a nice hold here.
Oh man. Overtime ticking down, and it's going to be Relapse Spirit taking yet another map in dominant fashion. Wow. Not a whole lot to say. I guess it's just, the hammer game. Maybe Zero Burst had magnets installed in the backs of their jerseys or something, because they were finding the ground a whole lot during that game.
Wow.
Ziftry, anytime a Reinhardt, you can see a Reinhardt just go ham. Sorry. But yeah, just go ham, and his team has enough, protection that he doesn't need to be holding that shield. He can be putting in that DPS damage. As I think we were talking about earlier, you can't discount that hammer damage. I mean, 70, that's like 70 per swing, right? And you rarely ever miss 75 per swing, and you rarely miss a hammer strike. So
absolutely. I love when I can just hold on Reinhardt and I have like an Ana shooting my back, and as you saw there, Ziftry got his Shatter very, very fast off the back of the first one. I think it was about 30 seconds. So yeah, they were just on the ground for a large portion of that game.
Those are like Genji Ultimate Generation numbers right there. Yeah, but Zero Burst looking a little bit flustered, perhaps. I think maybe something that might have helped was going with maybe a little bit more bursty DPS. Oftentimes, when you have that Soldier, as great as Soldier is as a hero, he's kind of more of that consistent DPS that we see. Not really somebody who can burst a hero down in one clip like a Tracer or a Genji can. Also very difficult to do a dive or run a pick style game. And unfortunately, Zero Burst, maybe they should have stuck with a pick style game, because they were kind of losing that shield battle.
Yeah, they were, and it's hard to win the shield battle against Triple Tank, right? Like, maybe they could have gone with something like a Junkrat, I don't know, to break down the shields, maybe a Reaper for the Triple Tank. It's quite hard to beat a well-coordinated Triple Tank even today.
Yeah, a lot of meat to cut through. But for our fifth map tonight, looks like we'll be taking you guys to Lijiang Tower, control point once more. So definitely one of Zero Burst's strongest map types. We saw some of the closest games in tonight's series on Nepal.
Yeah, definitely excited to see Lijiang here, as I'm expecting to see a couple of Pharahs here. Definitely the default strat on this map at least. But like I said, I hope to see Pharmacy. I hope to see some Boop characters, maybe a Lucio. Hope to see some Winston play for the mobile tank. Excited for this map.
Yeah, definitely. Anytime you can get some good air duels going on, it's always such a pleasure to watch those Pharahs. At last, was getting so much work done on that Rocket Queen on Sanctum. Perhaps they'll be pulling it out again for Gardens, and it looks to be so. At least early on here in Spawn, At last going to be taking to the air with Alan at his back, and on the side of Relapse is going to be Ilaria and Solo taking to the air.
Yep, pretty much a mirror comp coming out here, except for Correa on that Zenyatta instead of Lucio with Swimmer. So gonna be down to the individual skill of the players here as we roll out onto Lijiang Towers.
Another big pick for Zero Burst is Foolish, pulling out the Widow, I believe, for the first time so far. So Larlia gonna have his work cut out for him to avoid not just the rockets from at last his counterpart, but the bullets of Foolish, the Widow.
Very nice pick, actually, because you do expect people to run that far here. Unfortunately, map control in favor of Relapse Spirit here, as they're already set up on the point. No picks from either side yet, but is it going to be a no-death first battle? No, it is not, as Monkey and Diva fly onto the point here. Ooh!
But it might have been just a millisecond too late, as Relapse actually able to take first capture with very little effort. It's actually going to be Kurt Lebert losing his mech first. However, from that point, Foolish does manage to find Alarlia up in the air. Trades going back very evenly between both of these teams, but Relapse Spirit has control of the point, and Zero Burst have yet to flip control.
Yep, and Alan popped that Valk in the hopes of rezzing Halwyn, but not being able to be quick enough to get it. Foolish actually getting quite a few picks, though, getting a pick onto Solo. Unfortunately, the tank play from Relapse Spirit here too strong, as Ziftry and Stegs get a couple of picks in return. The point still not being flipped.
Yeah, Correa threw the Transcendence into the fight there, but although it will sustain your teammates, it's gonna have, it's hard, it's not really an ultimate that will allow them to find the kills, which is what Zero Burst needed in order to get the defending bodies off of the point and flip control, because Relapse Spirit ticking up towards 55% and counting.
Yes, that timer is getting dangerously high as Foolish switches onto the Tracer. He was getting quite a few picks on Widow, but maybe just not enough point presence here. So he is going that Tracer and flanking from the White Room as Halwyn flanks from the main here. Foolish will get a pick on the Solo for his efforts, but Swimmer picks off his off-healer companion in Correa. Picks going both sides here as Kurt Lebert picks off Ziftry on the point. Just the Kurt Lebert Diva holding on the point with Stegs. Couple of mechs fighting on the point as the Dragon Blade comes out from Larlia, slashing through Foolish, and Kurt Lebert's mech will fall. The point still has not been flipped as the timer ticks up to 90%. Just that barrage left on at last, and he will fall.
Oh, at last, choked on that barrage. They're not going to be able to invest it in this fight. 98%, 99%. Will it be a C9? It will.
Oh no,
Alan.
Kurt Lebert.
Oh no. Alan putting his life on the line to res back the Winston there in that last fight. He succeeded. Everything was looking so good. Zero Burst had the momentum, but they just forgot the objective in the last seconds.
Oh man,
Unlucky.
disappointing. Yeah, I read a statistic that said if you capture the point first on control maps, it's something like a 75% chance you're gonna win that round. And definitely that came true this round. They had a lot of picks on the side of Zero Burst, but they were not able to turn those into a point retake.
I mean, it was a little bit unlucky. Yeah, like you mentioned, Relapse Spirit took the point first, and it's so much harder to gain control of a point with a Pharah when you're attacking than it is to defend the point. Although I do believe Alarlia actually swapped onto the Genji halfway through.
He did.
Regardless, Zero Burst going to have their chance to even things up in our last map of tonight as we move on to Night Market. Immediately, both of the teams attacking the point with all of their members. You see that Zero Burst this time going with a different composition.
Yeah, Zero Burst doing something they're more comfortable with, maybe with the Orisa Roadhog, more Deathballish strat. But the dive from Relapse just too strong as Team Muller picks off both supports to start that fight off, leaving Zero with a little chance to retake here.
Yeah, unfortunately, Kurt Lebert has one Roadhog caught away from his team. Oh, my friends. Roadhog has a lot of sustain, but eventually he will be falling. And now we see Zero Burst with try number 2. Crucially, Kurt Lebert, through all of his efforts, has actually worked up to a whole hog, which could change the game as the team tries to see which side they want to engage, mid or right. Orisa kind of waffling between both of them, and in mid, indeed, it's going to be.
Yep. T-Miller with that pulse bomb will not catch anyone, however. And Zivtri picks off Alan. Correa falling to Swimmer. Looks like the picks are going firmly in favor of Relapse here as the point fight is going to the defender's side once again as Kurt Lebert manages to jump off the edge. He tried to last time, but this time he gets a little bit of help from the Lucio boop.
Let me help you, friend. Yes, Relapse Spirit actually at a disadvantage in terms of ultimates. Zero Burst have 3 online to Relapse's 2. However, they're about to come into a barrage and a Diva self-destruct. Oh, immediately over the top of the spawn. Beautiful positioning from our Larlia right there. Absolutely stuffed the push from Zero Burst, and that concussion killed just the cherry on top of that pile of ice cream. That was that last fight.
Wow, and a nice cherry indeed. I don't know if Winston was jumping off or what, but that's definitely going to be play of the game as those environmental kills are rated quite highly. However, Kurt Lebert with a nice hook onto Swimmer will pick him off. That's going to be a forced res hopefully here, but no! T-Miller will pulse bomb onto Correa. Both Valkyries popped here, the moths flying around. Alan reses at last and Correa here, but will they be able to make it to point? Swimmer pops that sound barrier, and they're trying to make a nice defense here. Yep, the kill feed is coming up in favor of Relapse Spirit. I'm sorry. Kurt Lebert staying alive on the point is that pig boy with the 600 health, but the Rockets will take him out. At last manages to touch, but the Diva Bomb will in fact catch him. This is going to be another hold for Relapse Spirit.
Yes, trickle game in play now from Zero Burst, but with Howlin' going down, that's going to be another win notched for Relapse Spirit. Zero Burst there. A lot of great individual plays coming out. You saw that they were consciously counter-picking for Relapse Spirit, going with a more ground-based composition. You have the Reaper for more of that tank-busting ability. Unfortunately, they just weren't able to find a full 6v6 fight on the point, losing members early on and putting themselves at a disadvantage before they'd even engaged the objective.
Yeah, it seemed like their healers were falling at the start of every fight there, despite them playing a comp they were more comfortable with, arguably. Queuing into a triple tank is Zero Burst here. Let's see if they can make it work here. Maybe the Roadhog and the Zarya will be able to peel for their healers a little bit better here.
Yeah, Zero Burst running a great composition for the control center map. That hook, halt into hook, extremely powerful, almost a guaranteed hook kill every single time if you can combo it correctly. On the side of Relapse Spirit, though, a very interesting comp that we haven't really seen in a long time. Our Larlia is going to be picking up that Doomfist.
Ooh, very early Earth Shatter coming out from Zivtri. I was watching him swinging and fire striking. He gets a Earth Shatter about 10-15 seconds into the game, but they lose the fight. No, they will actually take the point here. A couple of picks coming out from Zero Burst, but they will in fact take the control point. That Earth Shatter was so early, Ham.
Dude, I wasn't positioned at all to even see that. I was not expecting it, and unfortunately, neither was Zero Burst. However, though, Foolish, who's done so much good work on this Tracer throughout the series, has this Pulse Bomb. If he can delete even just one member of Relapse Spirit, this might just be the
Big Pulse Bomb!
Oh! Wait, just be the opening one player. I am clearly underestimating you, Sir Foolish. He could hear us. He could hear us talking about him, and he's like, "You shut your mouth about my single kill pulse bombs."
Wow.
That was a 3K. I mean, wow. Yeah, Foolish coming up big. That's going to mean the first point capture for Zero Burst.
As soon as you said he had Pulse Bomb, I changed the camera to him, and I just watched the halt into the Pulse Bomb. Gets a triple kill for his efforts. Quite nice. Unfortunately, the Bongo falls early, and Junkrat will catch a double tap too. Big grab coming out, however, lots of people in it, but both of the Valks with a lot of sustained damage. The point is in favor of Zero Burst here, so any one-for-one trade is in their favor. As Alan comes out with that Coalesce in the background, but Zivtri with another nice shatter will take out the Moira. Our Larlia with a nice headshot onto Orisa, and that Doomfist fist is too strong. They will take the point back.
Relapse Spirit just running so many threats on their team, and especially from heroes that you don't often think of as DPS heroes. That Reinhardt comboed with Arlarlia. I mean, you have to watch the front, you have to watch your flanking sides, and then not to mention T. Muller on that Junkrat. There's so many places, so many threats here, as now the Graviton Surge is out from Stegs, and you don't even need any other ultimates to combo when you have such great positioning right there.
Yep. The Graviton Surge, definitely very powerful. You can just swing into it and everyone will die. So, Foolish in the back, if you noticed, was trying to get a nice pulse bomb or something, get the point flip, but it didn't work out. Halt onto the Moira, however, will get her picked off by Zarya. And at last, going absolutely crazy here with that Zarya laser here, getting 3 or 4 kills. That might be a flip around for Zero Burst once again, as Stegs kind of dies a little bit late into the fight.
Yeah, a little bit of a stagger onto Stegs, but a considerable percentage bank earned for Relapse Spirit. However, they can't get too sloppy. Zifri over there, you saw that he was, he really wanted to try and spawn cap Zero Burst, but he ended up giving his life, forcing his team to backtrack when they weren't ready, and that's what lost them the point. Oh, he's going to be the first one down in this fight as well. However, Swimmer has her tanks back, going to bring that Reinhardt back into the fight, as the Graviton Surge actually went off in the very back from Alas. Didn't catch too many members, but with just a couple of picks, the attacking power of Relapse Spirit already severely damaged. And Arlarlia, trying to see what he can do, actually manages to take down Howlin, but it's just one Doomfist, and he's going to be sent back to respawn by Foolish.
And this should be the last fight here, in fact, as they're coming roaring in with that Coalescence coming out and the Riptire. Let's see if they can catch anything with that Riptire. Zifchi will fire strike onto Allen, getting the nice pick. Meanwhile, Foolish picks off the ulting Team Mueller, but at what cost? His Mercy will fall as well. Big shatter coming out from Ziftree. Will it be enough to take the point back? Graviton comes out. Only the Reinhardt in it, however, as Zarya falls. And that's going to be a turnaround for Relapse Spirit.
Ooh. So many times Zifri's just been able to walk past Howlin's shield and shatter the rest of the team. Kind of one of Orisa's weaknesses being made known on this point. She's only able to replace that shield every 8 seconds, so if you're just able to exploit the other angles, it could be very deadly. A single Graviton actually solo ults Karay, but with overtime ticking down, that's all you need. The only pick that Relapse was looking for, because they know once they get that Mercy, take the Resurrection off the field, take away all of that potential for sustain, then they have largely won this fight. Meteor Strike down onto the point right here, trying to zone away, but actually means that opening up the backline, the Swimmer's going to pay with his life. However, Solo going rogue once again. He's deadly, equally as deadly on the Zenyatta as he is on the Moira, and with that, Relapse Spirit going to be picking up their 5th win of tonight.
Yep, Relapse Spirit winning every game here. But like I said before, they were not all sweeps, as evidenced by the triple kill Pulse Bomb from Foolish here. Halt into Pulse Bomb. Very nice here. Like I said, it was not as one-sided as the score may suggest. I think Zero Burst really had a lot of nice plays and coordination, but overall the dive from Relapse Spirit just was too strong.
Yeah, Zero Burst definitely had great moments of individual brilliance, just not quite able to gain the same kind of team synergy as Relapse Spirit. However, we actually might be taking you guys to a 6th map for tonight. Depends on if the teams can work things out. Looks like it might be Oasis. A little bit more King of the Hill, and indeed Arena. We're entering the game. A little bit of bonus for all of you guys tuning in. I'm really enjoying these King of the Hill maps so far.
Me too.
Yeah, some of the closest games that we see between these two teams, and they have both such different approaches to the to team composition.
Yeah, the Zero Burst going for that more Deathball comp, like you said, and Ziftree really competent on the Rhine, as it turns out, so they can run their own Deathball, to be honest. You know what I noticed at the beginning of last map? You mentioned on King's Row that Zero Burst needed a little bit more burst damage, don't you?
Well, I mean, Burst is in their name, but they got
Zero of it.
Burst. I'm so sorry. No, we honestly we love both of these teams, and and as amateur casters, we're so grateful that that both of these teams are allowing us to observe their scrims, get some practice in casting their games, and whatever we say, we're just trying to bring the casting, bring the entertainment, and Zero Burst though. I mean, they've been struggling a little bit so far, but they have yet another chance to prove themselves here on Oasis, and I'm expecting even more great plays, great games.
At the very least, it will be exciting. Those huge ults from both sides just really being fun to watch. And look at this strat! They're pushing into lower. I've never seen this before. As Zero Burst gets an early pick onto Team Muller's Doomfist, and they get a second kill onto our Larlia. This is so interesting. They're trying to hold underneath the point, and they haven't lost a single member yet.
Points unlocking here, and although every single body from Zero Burst is underneath the point, they're going to have no trouble capturing it once they go topside, because it's going to be a single Sombra trying to hold against the entire might of the Zero Burst team. What an interesting strat. I mean, Boda, I've never seen this. You just said that you've never seen this. It completely worked though. Howlin beautifully exploiting the fact that the Orisa shield takes up that entire hallway, giving Zero Burst just this cocoon of safety as they blink away at Relapse Spirit, who had no way to try and siege them. Now, big EMP out from Solo into the Dragon Blade, beautiful combo, and immediately finding Pater. Alan with Alarlia, with 1 kill, 2 kill. At last, just decides to, we know how this is gonna go. A 1 fight for Relapse Spirit, but Zero Burst sitting pretty at nearly 30% for their first hold.
Yep, that cocoon being bursted open early by the EMP into Dragon Blade, not allowing them to turn into a big butterfly, but now we're going to get to see how they retake here with these 4 ultimates they have saved up. Coming up on the Valk as well is Karay. And Howlin actually with his bongos soon. It's going to be a 6 ult to 2 push here. And they're going for that under strat again, trying to take the hallways here and pushing out with that Orisa shield.
Ooh, trying to make a cocoon yet again. And oh man, it's going to be Team Muller falling to at last, but Diva Bomb out. Ooh, clutch shield right there. Howlin manages to save his team. Death Blossom out for at last, not going to be picking up any kills with the ultimate, but just manages to find Team Muller with the vanilla shotguns. Equally as good of a kill. A kill is a kill, and looks like Zero Burst going to be able to recap this point with ease. And they're still holding on to not only the Valkyrie, but also Foolish's High Noon.
Yeah, they did invest 4 ults into that fight, but it was a commanding fight, as Relapse Spirit does have that Valk, however, coming up on the Doomfist ult as well. They should be looking to maybe combo the EMP with a Doomfist ult or something like that, but at last we'll pick off Team Muller in the back. We'll force out the res. EMP comes out, but will they be able to follow up here? Looks like no, as the kill feed comes up on Zero Burst's favor.
Both Valkyries invested into this fight, but perhaps a little unfortunate mistiming from Swimmer. Lost so many teammates there, already down 2 before the fight even started. However, Doomfist, Team Muller, still trying to see what he can get done on the point, but Relapse Spirit sent packing back to their spawn, and Zero Burst looking happy with a dominant hold for the first time in the game, and 3 ultimates to their name.
Yeah, they really have found their that did rhyme. We really have found their place here on Oasis as Orisa moves back to point and lays that bongo down for what might be the last fight of the map. Coalesce comes out to follow up, and that will pick off Ziftry. Big self-destruct gets the Swimmer, but no! Our Larlia with a triple kill on his Dragon Blade just might let his team get back into this game. It's just Howlin holding just the lone Beetle Queen on the point.
She's not going to be holding for very long. Our Larlia, maybe his non-deplume is agilities, getting a 3k with that Dragon Blade, not to mention the reflect head kill from the High Noon. Foolish just wanted to tell him what time it was, but Larlia wasn't wearing a watch, so he didn't know. Now, Relapse Spirit with 65% and counting up, but Zero Burst, all they have to do is win 1 more fight, and they have captured the first advantage over Relapse for the tonight. At last is ready with that Death Blossom to make it happen for their team, his team, as Zero Burst once more taking this very unique bottom strat approach.
Yeah, and Winston follows them down there with that Primal Rage, and both Mercies falling here. Winston angry underneath the point, while the rest of his team stays up on top, but Kurt LeBert will pick off the Angry Monkey, and they're slowly making their way back up to the top of the point. Beetle Queen has been set up, but you can't set up a Beetle Queen with an EMP in your face, as our Larlia follows up on the EMP with a couple of dash resets, and that should be the point one, with the Blizzard coming out to seal the deal.
Ooh, Coalesce out from Allen's Moira, but it's not going to be enough. Oh, it's actually T. Muller who takes him down on that Mei. First round complete, and that will be yet another win for Relapse Spirit. Some unique strats coming out from both of these teams, though. I'm really liking it.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see. I really like that, and I thought that the Zero Burst was going to be able to hold there, to be honest, but Team Muller making a good adjustment, switching to the Mei for that overtime Blizzard, and they had solo on the Sombra the whole time, which unfortunately does destroy Orissa's shield instantly, allowing Genji to get those huge kill sequences.
Yeah, absolutely. But now Zero Burst with another chance, and it's actually going to be Foolish on the Pharah here on Oasis Gardens. Zero Burst deciding kind of going with a very interesting death ball. You got some heavy tanks on the ground, but you can't forget about the eras. Relapse Spirit gonna have to be looking up constantly to avoid those rockets, as they're not running any dedicated hit scan.
No, it's going to be just the Mei and the D.Va to kill that Pharah, as Zero Burst tries to set up on the point with that Orisa shield here. Ziftree on high ground, but Kurt LeBert in the back will pick off Swimmer here, and that should be an early take from them once again, unless our Larlia can clutch it out. Team Muller is just frozen on the point here, really just trying to stall out as much as possible, and Solo will come in efforts to do the same, but this is not the end of the round, this is the beginning. However, our Larlia will pick off the mini D.Va, and Corray will fall, and with an EMP, their stagger offense might just actually win the point here.
Solo, however, does manage to go down to Howlin', but the fight looking very good for Relapse Spirit. However, in just a second, all of that advantage can melt away, as Zero Burst will be taking the first point cap. However, Foolish falls to an icicle from Team Muller, and now we have descended into the ultimate phase. Coalescence out from Allen, just trying to provide a little bit of extra sustain for his team, but not going to help Corray stay alive against our Larlia's Blade. Throughout all of this, though, Relapse Spirit has yet to take control of the point, so all of this is just feeding ultimate charge to Zero Burst.
Yeah, Zero Burst looking pretty good with that Orisa Bongos and that fat self-destruct, getting forward with the remake onto Genji. Kurt LeBert showing he has just as big of self-destructs as Stags, and that Blizzard coming out from Team Muller might have been ill-advised, as he was the last one up here.
Might be a hero swap coming out from Team Muller. Mei is a hero that's pretty hard countered by Pharah, but what a decisive win from Zero Burst. Big 3k D.Va bomb, not to mention the re-meching kill onto our Larlia. That's like, when you teabag, make sure you're not wearing a big metal suit. That's gonna kill people. Now, however, Ziftree entering in with a very aggressive Primal Rage actually manages to pick the kill onto Allen, and our Larlia following up on all of that damage from his Winston picks up 2 more. Zero Burst looking pretty solid at first, but now falling to the overwhelming DPS of Relapse Spirit, and just as quickly they'll be giving up control of this point.
Yep, foolishly close to the ground there will take a headshot from Genji, and that will be a flip from Relapse Spirit here. But they did get 80% on the timer here for their efforts, so they do have quite a big tie bank to work with if they do retake. And they're going for an under strategy again, pushing the lower left-hand side on Oasis.
Yeah, Howlin' trying to make use of that small hallway with the shield, but the D.Va bomb sent in. Actually not going to be able to pick up any kills, but Muller just able to bring in Howlin' with regular Soldier 76 fire. Coalescence out yet again from Allen. This guy has been generating quite a few ults throughout this fight. Manages to find the kill onto Solo as well, but will die to Stegs. Back and forth, an absolute brawl on the point right now. But at last, on this Roadhog pick, being the hero his team needs, getting the staggered kills onto Relapse Spirit, and it should be a point flip once they can get rid of that pesky Sombra of Solo.
Yep. Oh, trying to stall is Ziftry on that Winston, but you can't stall once the point has been flipped, unfortunately. So he will have to go back to his friends angry. At last, getting the ult kill onto Solo. At last, the Sombra falls before the fight starts. And that means that the defense is favored here in this fight, but Ziftry will kill the mini diva. At last, getting another pick onto Reaper, his supposed counter. This might be Zero Burst's first hold on the map. Self-destruct comes out from Stegs, not catching anybody with it, however.
Yes, the brawl now as overtime ticks down. It's going to be a Dragon Blade for our Larlia. Manages to find Allen slicing and dicing away at that Diva mech, and the rest of the Zero Burst team going to be a little bit too far away to try and contest. However, once again, they're sitting at 99%. One team fight win is all Zero Burst will need in order to tie things up here on Oasis. Foolish does have that barrage in his back pocket. Perhaps he could go for that opening above the choke barrage yet again, but he's not going to be doing it right now with the EMP coming out from Solo.
Unfortunately, the EMP not really getting that much done as Howlwind picks off Team Muller, and a barrage not catching anyone either. Foolish with a little bit of a foolish choice, getting killed by his own barrage here, and the point ticking up to 90% in Relapse Spirit's favor. Bongos come out on the point for Zero Burst, coupled with the whole hog. Ziftry falling, or Larlia falling. They just might win the point here as Ziftry picks off the Bongos, but that's not a player. At last picks off Ziftry, and Allen with a pick onto Swimmer. It's just Diva flying around with the self-destruct, trying to get some picks. Not getting any picks though. She has her mech back, however. Let's see if she can stall long enough for reinforcements to arrive. No, Stegs will fall, but a big EMP from Solo.
Oh man, our Larlia once again deciding to work out his trapeze. It's going to be taking out 3 players before he falls himself. Now it's going to be up to the rest of the Relapse Spirit team to back up his enormous play. They've opened up the way. It's a 3v2 on the point right here. Diva versus that Roadhog, and that big chunky pig is going to be the first one to fall. Kurt Liebert though isn't done. Manages to pick up the kill with Ziftry, but their Relapse Spirit actually going to take it. They didn't have the bodies on the point. Whoa.
Wow. I mean, to be honest, we've seen it time and time again here. That EMP into Dragon Blade just so powerful, letting our Larlia just slash him into tiny little concentric pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. That Dragon Blade, I mean, it's like getting rid of a Diva mech for a soldier's tac visor. There's literally no resistance, like butter. However, Zero Burst, they're still not out of the game. Both of these maps have looked so incredibly close, so incredibly competitive. Perhaps it'll be Jump Pad, or excuse me, Control Center will be the place for Zero Burst to take away their win. Out of the spawn is going to be Howlwind on the Orisa at last on the Roadhog yet again. The Orisa pick actually coming up really big. Sometimes you forget how crucial that shield can be in terms of damage mitigation when you're not expecting to run one. At last, Roadhog also a big credit to his team, and we're going to be seeing if he can get more picks with that handy hook.
Can we talk about Relapse Spirit for a second here, though? Running a Symmetra Torbjorn here on control points.
Come on now.
Howlwind taking advantage of that with an early pick onto Symmetra, and Relapse Spirit really just falling apart as that composition is better suited for a more stationary type point, perhaps memeing a little bit here on the last point of the night.
A little bit, getting a little bit spicy, pulling out that Symmetra Torbjorn. However, I wouldn't count Zero Burst out of the fight just yet. Foolish has already a pulse bomb in his back pocket, and Allen working up towards yet another Coalescence. Correa close to Valkyrie, and most importantly, Zero Burst have control of the point. They're going to have to Relapse Spirit going to have to make their way past this shield, this very tight choke, in order to try and start contesting.
Swimmer pops that Valk quite early. It's not Solo playing it anymore, but he does palpate quite early. Whole Hog coming out from at last with the Symmetra in the back here will pick her off. Meanwhile, there's a secondary fight going on the point. Very chaotic here. It seems there's two separate fights going on at once as Swimmer reses two people to bring him back into the fight.
Ooh, Ziftry in with the Death Blossom. Gonna pick up one kill, but Correa was ready to answer back with a Valkyrie. Undoes all of that Reaper's hard work. Now, Team Muller gonna see if he can copy Ziftry's success on that Reinhardt, just swinging away without any regard for the shielding, as perhaps they don't even need it. Ooh, maybe he should have saved the shield for himself. Goes down to a great hook one-shot from At Last, and despite this fight raging on for so incredibly long, the point control is still in favor of Zero Burst. They're over 70% now.
Yeah, Zero Burst still having control of the point with a teleporter in the middle from Relapse Spirit. Very confusing stuff here as the point will finally get flipped over due to the pressure from that Symmetra teleporter. But as you said, Team Muller really getting quite aggressive, getting hooked out of that fight and allowing them to stall for just a little bit longer. But now the kills are going firmly in favor of Relapse Spirit.
Relapse Spirit, they are at a disadvantage in terms of percentages. They're trying the aggressive defense, working out beautifully. They did, alright.
Ziftry just
Alright.
Beyblading into the pit here, going full meme here.
A little bit of disrespect.
A little disrespectful,
I'm
yeah.
not quite sure how I feel about that because Zero Burst, all they have to do is win one fight, maybe 1.5 fights more, and that teleporter is not going to last forever, as Team Muller are going to be the first member of Relapse Spirit to fall in this fight. And now Zero Burst with the momentum, charging onto the point, picks up Ziftry's kill as well.
Shatter not catching anyone from Team Muller, and Kurt Lebert will take off the teleporter. They don't have that to fall back on. However, Stegs gets a pick onto Orisa. Correa will quickly bring her back up, and that self-destruct should seal the deal. Just a little D.Va flying around on point here, and they should flip the point back over here.
Yeah, Stegs going down to a headshot from Correa of all things. That's gonna be a feels bad. But Relapse Spirit tried something a little bit new, running that Symmetra teleporter in a pretty obvious place, though. It was just a question of playing the mini game. Zero Burst finished that, and now they're going to be ticking up to 96%. Relapse Spirit have to get some bodies onto the point if they want to start overtime.
Or Larlia with a couple of dash resets. That's going to be a good start to this overtime push from Relapse Spirit here, as Ziftry DMX Kurt Lebert as well. But they can't seem to pick off this Moira. One swing of the hammer onto her will not be enough as she dashes around, and D.Va puts her pulsers onto her and will kill her as well, finally flipping the point in their favor.
Yeah, kind of again, like you mentioned earlier, a split fight going on. There was the Moira versus, Reinhardt battle on the point, but in the back, it was actually the D.Va hunting down Solo's Symmetra. And now, with the Whole Hog out from At Last, spraying everybody with that scrap gun. Have you had your iron supplements for today? He says, as Zero Burst, although they gave up the point in the middle of that last fight, they now seem to have pretty commanding point presence here as Foolish 1v1s Ziftry.
But a big shatter.
Now. Oh.
Yeah, the Shatter catching the Correa and Foolish, and he'll charge it off, and that's it! They win with their Symmetra Torbjorn composition here.
Some pretty interesting stuff from both of these teams. Definitely getting a little bit more wild as the night has progressed. As we hear, check out this Genji play of the game from Alarlia. This is definitely not somewhere you want to be facing off against a Genji. The tiny hallway here.
Definitely, that EMP coming out without the Dragon Blade that time. As the play of the game came up, Alarlia, it was like, which Dragon Blade was it? He had so many huge ones that game, but very nice play from both teams there, getting a little spicy, like you said, at the end, and that should do it.
Absolutely. Well, GG's from both of our teams, and thanks to all the viewers who tuned in tonight. Definitely some entertaining games, a lot closer than you might have expected on many of the maps, especially Control Point. But that should do it for us. Ben? just a little bit, but just
I'm
thank
here,
everybody.
just-
Oh,
Bit confused.
oh no, I just was wondering if you had anything you wanted to add, any thoughts about either of the teams, or if you just wanted to close out the stream, or
I mean, they both played pretty well.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely wasn't expecting some of the games to be quite as close. But regardless, thanks for sticking with us, guys. And just a reminder for any of our new viewers tuning in, this has been Ham Tornado, Boda, and Ben Vigolo with Broadcast GG. Feel free to follow us on Twitter, that's Broadcast GG, or at Discord. Feel free to join our server if any of you guys are interested in casting, hosting, producing, analyzing any of those great behind the scenes desk type jobs. Come by and join our server, where we'd be happy to have you. But other than that, Bodo, you have any final words before we sign off tonight?
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Mushu Pork for organizing this and giving us the chance to do it, and to the Broadcast GG community in general. Really enjoy casting these games at all levels, and it's just been a great time.
Yep. And with that, we'll be signing off tonight. All of you guys have a good rest of the day, good rest of the night. See ya.
When you pay attention to those Dragon Blades from both Genjis and the defensive ults, Muller comes in with an early pick onto Allen, and Stegs will follow up with a kill onto Halwyn. Trades going first. When you pay attention to those Dragon Blades from both Genjis and the defensive ults, Muller comes in. When you pay attention to those Dragon Blades from both Genjis and the defensive ults.
When your best defense is an
Might mean an early retake from Zero Burst here.
ooh, both of the teams fighting. Oh man,
Ooh! Fall to that Junkrat spam.
very back and forth fights between both of these teams. Basically swung off of the strength of their ultimate economy early on. No, it's actually going to be Howlin.
Oh,
visiting the
no!
pit yet again, and Aurelia coming up big once more. A 2K off of a concussion bomb of all. Genji shut down. However, Zero Burst have the bodies here, and they're making a stand on this final point. Genji Blade out from Aurelia now between both of these teams. Diva Bomb out now here, just zoning, buying a little bit more time for the defenders, but not going to be able to pick up any kills. It's all just is one of the first ones to go down in this fight, forces out the Valkyrie, his own Valkyrie, out from Swimmer here. Now, Dragon Blade out from Aurelia though, and nothing to answer back on the
On them. However, Howlin with an early pick onto our Larlia should signal some nice plays here. Unfortunately, Stegs did catch Howlin with that from Swimmer, and it is fading away. That Moth is no more as Foolish picks off Ziftry in the back. At last getting a pick as well. That Relapse Spirit here, but the Dragon Blade is out from Atlas. He gets 2 picks for his effort. Looks like Relapse Spirit has successfully defended last here, and they will be
taking down. Somebody has to tap into this payload and start up overtime. Oh, by the skin of his teeth, Stegs manages to get the mech onto the payload, but everything is coming up blue in this.
Tree. Bastion, a great pick against the Winston, and the Fool is just kind of holding down his mouse button and deleting the entire enemy.
Beautiful crispy headshot from Swimmer. There can be only one. That's a beautiful winning of the support war right there. And once that Bastion is taken out of, be crucial, the DPS from Relapse has been halved.
Yep, that DPS player falling early, but Stags with a nice self-destruct, catching Zero Burst here.
Ooh, really unlucky Arlarlia just piling on now with this Tac Visor. It's basically a one fight, 4 seconds ticking by himself. So very dangerous.
Ooh, Arlarlia with a couple early picks, getting the finishing blows on Corey and Allen from the tank's damage. And
Off here now as the Coalescence is invested from Allen, but he's actually going to fall to the tickle cannon of Ziftree. This man, this monkey, he's channeling some Arlarlia in, but unfortunately they were not taking into account that big CC ult from Ziftree.
ooh, that big ult from Ziftree is followed up by a big ult by Stags.
I miss it. Gets back to the safety of his team, however.
Ooh, but a fat shatter comes out, and the swing damage will get a triple kill for his effort. The voice comms. As Ziftree comes in with a nice charge off the Howlwind, will not kill him, and another shatter comes out, catching Allen at last, getting a shatter in.
Burst, third, fourth, fifth push maybe, and especially with that early loss right off the bat around the right side of the point, that's going to be yet another a barrage and a D.Va self-destruct. Oh, immediately over the top of the spawn. Beautiful positioning from Arlarlia right there. Absolutely. Who's done so much good work on this Tracer throughout the series, has this Pulse Bomb. If he can delete even just one member of Relapse Spirit, this might just be
Big Pulse Bomb! I changed the camera to him, and I just watched the halt into the Pulse Bomb. Gets a triple kill for his efforts. Quite nice. Unfortunately, the Bongo falls early, and Junkrat.
He's going to be the first one down in this fight as well. However, Swimmer has her tanks back, going to bring that Reinhardt back into the fight as the Graviton Surge actually went off in the... A single Graviton actually solo ults Corey, but with overtime ticking down, that's all you need. The only pick that Relapse was looking at, these teams are allowing us to observe their scrims, get some practice in casting their games, and whatever we say, we're just trying to bring
Interesting. They're trying to hold underneath the point, and they haven't lost a single member yet.
points unlocking here, and although out from Solo into the Dragon Blade, beautiful combo, and immediately finding Pater. Allen with Alarlia, with 1 kill, 2 kills. Alas, it's going to be T Muller falling to at last, but D.Va Bomb out. Ooh, clutch shield right there. Howlins manages to save his team. Death Blossom out for at last. Not going to be invested into this fight, but perhaps a little unfortunate mistiming from Swimmer. Lost so many teammates there. Already down 2 before.
Coupled with that Genji Tracer, it's very hard to defend their backline, as the defending team has 6 ults in their back pocket. Arlarlia with the Dragon Blade gets 2 kills for his effort. Follow up, and that will pick off Ziftree. Big self-destruct gets the Swimmer, but no! Arlarlia with a triple kill on his
Zero Burst.
Yeah, Zero Burst looking pretty good with that Orisa Bongos and that fat self-destruct.
Now as overtime ticks down, it's going to be a Dragon Blade for Arlarlia. Manages to find Allen slicing and dicing away at that D.Va mech, and the rest of the...
She said, T Muller really getting quite aggressive, getting hooked out of that fight and allowing them to stall for just a little bit longer, but now the kills are going...
6%. Relapse Spirit have to get some bodies onto the point if they want to start overtime.
Arlarlia with a couple of dash resets. Yep, and there comes the Transcendence out from Corey to open up the point here. Foolish with a nice pulse bomb onto Solo, and at last follows up with his Dragon Blade, getting Stags out of mech. Allen's in Valkyrie, and Swimmer comes out with the EMP, but kills going firmly in the favor of Zero Burst here. Arlarlia, however...
Reaper, not anymore though, as he'll be in the dirt, put there by Foolish's Tracer. Despite all of this though, look at the Arlarlia popping off yet again.
But we are on Nepal now, so we're going to see what routes these teams take. Like Zero Burst opting to take the right side with that Mega Pack, and Corey
flanking angle, get even a couple of picks. This will definitely be the end of the fight.
Foolish with